Welcome to Toffee TV. Well, it's just been announced via sources, I believe, that Marco Silva will be in charge of Everton this coming Sunday against Leicester away. So, what's going on, Baz? What's going on in Everton Football Club? Because the whole thing is just turning out to be a bit of a mess at the moment, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the manager, I suppose there's all different ways to look at it, isn't it? You've got a fella in charge, it's not going well, the club have paid money to get him in, haven't identified him. We've got 2 horrible games coming up, really. You know, is it better to just leave him in for these 2? Is it a case of we were heavily criticised last time we sacked the manager when Ronald Koeman went, and we drifted with David Unsworth for 6 weeks, didn't we? And, you know, then we ended up plumping for Sam Allardyce in the end. Maybe the club are looking at it that way and thinking, well, you know, for all we know, they're negotiating with someone and it isn't ready to go yet, so they're leaving the present manager in. That's one that I think a lot of people would take comfort with if that was happening.
Yeah.
Another school of thought is they still believe he can turn it round, which is it. You know, if he goes and wins the next 2 away games, then maybe he does deserve longer, because the 2 of the worst away games you can choose at the minute, aren't they? But it just seems a little bit up in the air, doesn't it? And
it all seems very visible, very public.
There's been no real defence of him though after either from the club.
That's what I'm saying. It feels that it's inevitable that Marco Silva will lose his job. The club aren't backing him. Simple as that. You read anything and it's a case of Everton can't find or haven't made their mind up, or it's a split camp. So he's a dead man walking. And you're right. You are right what you're saying about in terms of, well, last time we let it drift out of control, and then we brought Sam Allardyce in, and if they only saw him as a short term, then it was a short term on top of another short term. Now I don't know what they want, who they're looking at. Lots of names bandied about, different kinds of names as well, short term, long term, which is all very, very strange. That to me is the biggest problem now. It's not the manager, it's what's going on at the club in terms of the control. Who has the control to sack the manager? Who has the control to replace the manager? That to me is more of a worry, because I think you can get a manager in and can do a job, whether it's short term or long term. But the fact that we're in this position again and we're looking for another manager, and we're hearing the splits in the boardroom, there's focus now on Marcel Brands from some journalists, which is rightly so. But I also can't help but feel that maybe those journalists are pushing the spotlight on Marcel Brands to save someone else's skin. And I'm really worried about what's happening at Everton in terms of the boardroom, because I just think there's far too many chiefs at the club. For me, Farhad Moshiri should either employ someone to run all the business side of it and step away from the club, or he should be running all the business side of it, and Marcel Brands should be running all the football side of it. Because at the moment, I don't understand who the clear leader is at Everton Football Club. I really, really don't. I don't know if you can help me out with that, because I'm really struggling with it.
Well, on paper, the chairman's Bill Kenwright and the CEO is Denise Barrett-Baxendale. So between those 2, they should be running a football club. But you've also then got... Well, everybody should filter up to Denise Barrett-Baxendale, shouldn't they? Because she's the CEO. Well, she's the CEO.
Is she higher than the chairman?
No,
I'm asking you, is she higher than the chairman?
And then obviously you've got Bill Kenwright as the overseer. I would have thought that's how a company would work if you've got a chairman. Your CEO runs the businesses, because in general. But obviously the highest point is your chairman, isn't it? We've got an owner who I don't know what he does with the club. I don't know whether he's often in Monaco on his boat. I don't know whether he needs to be more involved. What surprises me is, if it was my money, I think I'd want more of an input. I want more control, and I demand more more of a return on interest, of return on investment rather, in terms of what I've laid down. With 2 years on from sitting here discussing why we hadn't had someone ready to go when Koeman was sacked. Now, okay, this time it isn't quite the same because they haven't sacked Marco Silva and gone, what do we do? So have they learned the lessons from 2 years ago? Maybe they're going, listen, let's see what's around. Let's put the feel. There's too much. You touched on it before. There's too many journalists now saying that he's gone. We've got people in the media saying he's gone. There's no way back for him. It's a matter of time. It's inevitable. Blah, blah, blah. Some people are surprised it hasn't been done. But then for that flip side, that's where they possibly have learnt about leaving a rudderless ship. Did he want to put David Unsworth back in charge, for argument's sake? I mean, I don't know how David Unsworth goes from the 23s to be the manager when Duncan Ferguson's the first team coach wouldn't get it. So for me, Duncan Ferguson would get it if that was the role we were going down. While we look for someone else, I wouldn't be going under him to a 23s manager. For what reason? Doesn't make sense to me. So maybe they're looking at it that way. Maybe the manager who they're speaking to has said, Leicester and Liverpool away? Nah, next week maybe. We'll do it after those 2 games. So that's difficult. But you're right. Who runs the whole thing?
Yeah.
Who is culpable for it?
Yeah.
Is that we haven't heard a peep out of Marcel Brands.
No.
We haven't heard, like I said before, there's been nothing other than Sky sources or whatever as to what's happening with the manager. He didn't look too happy coming back with his leather hat on.
I mean, why would you?
Exactly.
In a leather hat?
And I just don't think... I've seen people criticising the fact that he was in Portugal over the weekend. There's 2 ways of looking at that. One, you want your manager in and trying to turn it round. But if he's got a prior engagement and that's all being set up, then these things fall sometimes, don't they? And if Everton had won on Saturday, no one would have said a word about him being in Portugal. But they just doesn't sit well at the moment. And I think the key thing is, where's the leadership?
Why is he going back to Portugal?
I don't know.
Does his family still live in Portugal?
I have no idea.
Isn't that one of the problems? Because he goes back to Portugal quite regularly.
Quite regularly, yeah. But so, I honestly don't.
So does that suggest that his family is still in Portugal, and therefore, because I think that's another worry. I don't get this thing about
his family might be it. Only mates all go, although they weren't with him there on the plane, maybe.
But we don't know. But I find that whole thing weird. We had that with Koeman as well. The whole distraction of, I'm just gonna go on holiday for 2 weeks while there's no games or whatever. Or these people, listen, I'm not sitting here saying Silva might work 7 in the morning.
But he does work long hours.
So, yeah, and that might be the trade-off. So fair enough if that's the trade-off. But the whole thing to me is just, and again, we're only relying on what we're hearing, but you're hearing it from very good sources. That's the point. It's not like, just something you see on Twitter or something in the newspaper. We're hearing from very good sources. But again, to me, this comes from, the problem is that the club, there's too many factions at the club now. There has to be factions because we're clearly not pulling all in the same direction. It's clear as day we're not. Because there's obviously people supporting other people at the club. And that to me is completely wrong. There should be a support structure in place for the manager, and nothing else should matter. Marcel Brands should be going about his business, trying to change the club in the background, but funneling all this power to give everything the manager wants. Everything at the top should be trying to give everything the manager wants, what he wants. But yeah, we've got, like we've just mentioned, who's in charge, who's running the club. But I keep on hearing Bill Kenwright's name. We should have stopped hearing about Bill Kenwright. But no, just wait.
Yeah, cool.
We should have stopped hearing about Bill Kenwright 3 years ago, right? When Machiri come on and took over the club, I was fine with Bill Kenwright being at the club. There was that changeover, right? And that should have happened by now. Bill Kenwright should have been eased out the club by now. And yet, it seems like he's got more power now than he's ever had in the last 5 years. I can't understand that. I don't because all he's doing, right, is taking power away from other people who should have the power.
But you do have to point out here that we don't know what we don't know. You're just making assumptions.
But I think though, no, but I'm not making assumptions.
You are.
I'm not.
Baz,
I'm not, because I'm not, because he's still the chairman of the club.
Yeah, but
he should not be the chairman.
But how do you know how much power he's got?
Oh, it's clear as day he's got power. Well, it is though. There's no point saying we're making assumptions. We're not making assumptions. The man's the chair. He's not honorary chairman. He's not honorary.
No, but you are making assumptions.
Is he chairman of the football club?
Yes, but you're making assumptions that he's making decisions over Denise Barrett-Baxendale's head.
Oh, he clearly is.
But I don't know. So I can't comment because I don't know.
Well, he shouldn't be the chairman of Everton Football Club.
But there's chairman up and down the country.
But we've got an owner, a CEO, and a chairman, and a director of football. There's something not right about this whole thing. All it's doing. No, but the point being is, they're not all on the same page. And don't get me wrong, people shouldn't always be on the same page, because you need different ideas and you need people to pull against each other and pull people up. But Bill Kenwright is from a different time at Everton. And I just can't understand why he hasn't been eased out the club. And if Moshiri should have his own man in there, this to me is just, this is why we have these problems. It's because Bill Kenwright wants a David Moyes in the club. And yet Farhad Moshiri wants, I don't know, the next up-and-coming manager. And Marcel Brands, who probably should have to say, might want an up-and-coming technical coach, because he thinks that the situation isn't as far gone as it is. Because it's not. Because Tottenham have just sacked their coach when they were on exactly the same points as us, and have gone out and got the best. Now, I'm not saying we could go and get a Mourinho, but they've gone, we want Champions League, so we're going to go and get Champions League. We're looking like as in to say, this season's over. We just need to win 8 games and stay up. And I just don't know.
That's how you're looking at it.
No, that's how they're looking at it.
That's how you're looking at it. But you're worried about Everton getting relegated.
Of course I am, because we're shite.
So what are Tottenham worried about, getting relegated?
Well, no, they were worried about not getting into but that's from the top. That comes from the top, right?
I'm just saying, listen, it's difficult when you're commenting on stuff we don't know about. We can guess and we can use what you hear and try to make.
I think we've got enough experience to know now.
Oh, I know, but what I'm saying to you is, you can't just go, well, we shouldn't have Moshiri, we shouldn't have Ken Knight, we shouldn't have Denise Barrett-Baxendale, we shouldn't have Marcel Brands, because a lot of companies will have those figures in place. The problem for me is not who's in place, it's the message that is being sent out right from the top. There seems to be indecision. Now, I don't know if the indecision is real. For all we know, Everton could be so far down the line with a replacement for Marco Silva. We don't know. Only time will tell with that. I hope I'd like to think that was the case, that they've already got contingency plans in place, because that's exactly what they should have. Am I 100% convinced that's the case? No. So, but I don't. When you're saying about Bill Kenwright, what he's doing and what he isn't doing, I don't know what he does. I think that's the real thing. Is I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue whether he's hands on or he's not hands on, whether he's a figurehead or he isn't a figurehead, and I don't know whether Everton then maybe need to get the message out as to who does what, because it's so shrouded in mystery still, isn't it?
I look at it, Baz, and this is the top and bottom of it. I look at it and I see the people who run an Everton Football Club, and I just think, what's the point? You've got somebody who's the CEO, whose experience was running a charity. Now, are we a football club in $1 billion industry, or are we a charity? Are we so focused on the good work that Everton community does that we're willing to let someone who run a charity run Everton Football Club? In £1 billion industry, right? £1 billion industry where other clubs go out and they go into the areas that get people who have also run other businesses. Liverpool went to EA Sports with the man who produced one of the biggest selling games of all time, contacts all over football with everyone, and they brought him in and made him there, and he's just elevated them. massively. We've got someone who used to run a charity. And I'm sorry, the two things are night and day. They're night and day. Absolute night and day. Then you've got Bill Kenwright, who's been running the club since the late 90s. And some people say he did a good job, some will say he did a terrible job. But the point being is, football has moved on. Now, he might know all the old movers and shakers, but that's not necessarily how football works anymore. And yes, we have gone out and modernised by bringing in Marcel Brands, but how much is his job compromised by those people? Because it seems to me like he's not being able to do his job to the best ability because other people are blocking his path because there's just too many chiefs in there. There's just far too many chiefs. And then this comes down to the manager. Who in the end picks the manager? Whose choice is it? Exactly.
Yeah, but we don't, again, it's all conjecture. You don't know whether Marcel Brands is being blocked or he's not being blocked, do you? You're guessing. You're reading stuff and guessing.
I think it's more than a guess. I think both of us can sit here and know it's more than a guess.
I honestly don't know if he's being blocked or not. I don't. Because you know why I don't know? Because I don't know anything about him. He come in and he doesn't say a word. He done a 5-10 minute interview on Everton TV in August.
Well, all right, I'll simplify it. He's either not very good at his job or he's being blocked. It's one of those two things. So it's whichever one people want to pick, that's up to them. He's either not very good at his job or he's being, the things he wants to do are not being embraced and change is not happening quick enough. So it's one of those two things. And I think that's where you can look at that all over the club.
Well, hang on, he could sit there and go to you off camera. Well, I'm talking to a manager who I want. Yeah, and it takes time.
But that's essentially you just making up something. We
don't know. We don't know though, do we?
I mean, fine, if we don't want to say it, don't say it, but we know.
No, but I'm saying to you, for all we know, Marcel Brands could be sat there now negotiating with a young coach to come in, and Everton aren't going to sack the manager because...
I'm not talking about sacking the manager. I'm talking about the whole thing. I'm talking about the whole project. The whole project is being stopped or is not going forward. We've thrown all this money at stuff, and it's not going anywhere. The project is completely failed. It's completely failed. The only thing that's moving forward is the stadium. That's the only thing. The football side is completely stalled. It doesn't matter what anyone says. The evidence is on the pitch. It's completely stalled. When you're starting Sigurdsson, Schneidlin and Tosin and Walcott, then it's completely stalled. So we've thrown all that money at the club and it's not going anywhere. It's just we haven't progressed. We should be. People can say, we should be where Leicester are. At the very least, we should be. People should be saying right now, well, Everton are a well-run club. They're a well-run club, aren't they? You know, they've said by the time they get to the stadium, they want to be. You know, Denise Barbaxandale came out and said we want to be in the stadium, and in 10 years we want to be Premier League champions. Well, then do it then gradually. Not we're just going to throw all the money at the wall.
But wouldn't Marcel Brands say to you, well, I'm buying young players to try and mould the team?
Well, young players don't win games of football. A mix wins game of football. If you've got no leaders at the club or anyone to guide those young players, whether it be a coach or senior players, what's the point? You're buying for tomorrow and you're not looking at today. And communication is a big problem. We've discussed this before. Communication out the club is abysmal, absolutely abysmal. Doesn't seem to matter who's at the club or who isn't at the club. It's abysmal. There's no pressure on anyone to talk. There's no pressure on anyone to speak to the fans. There's no pressure on anyone to come out and... When was the last time Farrell Machedi did an interview? When was the last time Bill Kenwright did an interview? When was the last time Denise Barbaxandale did an interview? When was the last time Marcel Brands did an interview? All of these people who are supposed to be the stepping stones up the ladder of Everton Football Club don't communicate to the fans. Never communicate to the fans unless it's through back channels to journalists. The manager only speaks to the fan to anyone when he's like basically they put his arm behind his back and force him to. There's nothing. There's no communication coming out the club, and all that leads to is frustration. And when you get to moments like this, there's no one's willing to give anyone at the club the benefit of the doubt. Because why should we? We've spent all this money sticking our chest out going, look how ambitious we are. but without having a serious plan.
It's just bizarre that the money that we've put in and spent, when there's no progression. Doesn't look like there's any progression. There's nothing. You can't hang your hat on anything because we're 2 years back in the cycle. 2 years have gone by. We're 2 years older. We sat here 2 years ago and went, oh my God, Allardyce is coming in. This can never happen again. And here we are, again. 2 years again. We're back in the same boat. You know, going to Leicester and Liverpool and thinking, Leicester, worried about going to Leicester.
Why did it happen in the first place? Because the owner got fixated on a coach. He got fixated on a coach. That was the thing at the time. Instead of taking...
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because I think you need to be, we've said this before, a special kind of manager, I think, to manage Everton. The way we are at the minute, we need a big character in charge. And who's the right person to make that decision? Is it Marcel Brands? Is he going to look for a big character, or is he just going to look for a technical coach in Europe who's a young manager? You know, we tried Martinez, it didn't work. Koeman, it didn't work. Allardyce was a Silver, it hasn't worked so far. So what do? Do you go back for the next bright, shiny young thing in Europe, or do you go, we need someone who can galvanise the club?
It's not just, but it can't just be one over here and one over there. There's a lot of coaches out there, but you've got to give them, money's fine. Here's money, sound. You've got to give them the tools, haven't you, to build. You've got to give them the tools. You've got to create the stability. So that appointment's got to be right, but you've got to have, the rest of the club's got to be in harmony, or the coach, like you just said, has got to be big enough coach to create harmony. You know, again, you know, they were a mess. Liverpool were a mess.
Oh, yeah.
So Klopp come in and basically got them sorted.
Yeah, galvanised them.
You know, with Michael Edwards and obviously having the Peter Moores on as well. It's now I look at them because not only are they there, but they no, it wasn't that long ago that they were in a bit of a mess themselves, and now look where they are. We've got it. It's put it this way, right? It's yes, if you get the right man can help heal all those rifts, because then you're not talking about a manager all the time, and the board can get on with doing what they need to do. But it's chicken and egg, isn't it? If they don't bring in the right man, then you never. You know what I mean? Then you're never going to have the right man.
Yeah, of course, and that is the big problem. And again, that's what comes down to who's making the decision and are they capable of making that decision. And I guess we'll know soon enough with Marcel Brands. But for me, the biggest thing still within it is communication. Is at the heart of it. It's at the fulcrum of everything. Because if the club will communicate, and listen, I know it's difficult at this time because if they're not going to keep him, they can't come out and say they're going to keep him. No. And they can't come out and say they're going to sack him when they're not going to sack him because they're still waiting. Yeah. So there's always likely to be a void here at this moment.
And that's fine. That's not the communication.
And that's frustrating, but there has to be a line of communication all the time with Everton. There isn't. Everton's head in the sand when it's going wrong. You know, it's like, I'll use a thing of like the way what you think in your mind about professionalism is. If that board are sat there, right, and they go, Marco Silva isn't the right man. They were sat there Saturday and just went, heard the stadium singing, you're getting sacked. I've never heard that. I've heard people boo, or I heard seen a protest at Martinez at the end of a game and it was finished. I've never heard our crowd joining with that, and I've been going on a match for 40 years. Right? If they sat there Saturday night and went, he's got to go. That's not good enough. You have money, no improvement, boom. And he went, but we can't sack him because let's make sure we're covered on our bases, right? And they come up with a list, right? And they just say, for argument's sake, their list was Rafael Benitez and David Moyes for various reasons, and I don't know, Eddie Howe and Mikel Arteta for argument's sake. But they looked and went, right, number one is Rafael Benitez. But we can't get him till the summer. Yeah. And then they went, but what will Everton fans say? What will some fans say? If he's the best man, the same with David Moyes. If they've gone, like, we want Benitez, we can't get him till June. So we need someone to carry this ship through until May. And David Moyes is the one out there who's the best man for the job, but 50% of our fans don't want him. If he's still the best man for the job, you have to just go, we're going with him, and we're going with him for this reason. If it's Rafael Benitez, you have to say to the fans, he's the best man for the job. You want a successful football club, this fella can bring it. So get over yourself, get behind the team, and we go forward. What they can't do is go, oh no, these people won't like that. Right, but let's have Eddie Howe, because it's the path to least resistance if we have Eddie Howe. Yeah. Because that's ridiculous. And that to me is what the club has to do. The club has to be able...
But then that's where you have to have someone at the top of the club who is dispassionate, who is willing to make decisions that other people won't make, without someone like Bill Kenwright chiming in and going, they won't like this. I've been here for years and years. They won't like this. That's fine. That's fine if he does go.
You need to know this. Yeah.
You need to know this decision. But, and I know, listen, in the past, the owner might have done that anyway. You know, Sam Allardyce, classic case.
Well, Bill didn't want him. Bill Kenwright didn't want him. He said that.
But he did the job that he came to do.
Yeah.
Okay, along the way, there was fallouts. We appreciate that. But he done the job he was asked to do. We overpaid him, we give him an extra year and blah, blah. But the plan was always the plan. Keep us in the Premier League, and then, you know...
Well, there was a bit of a split there, though, because Kenwright didn't want him.
Yeah.
Moshiri did want him, because Moshiri was obviously looking at his investments, and David Dean told him, if you don't get Allardyce, you're going down. That seems pathetic, with your manager and blah, blah, blah. So they went against each other then. We shouldn't be in this position. I suppose the reality is, how much do we trust Marcel Brands? Isn't it? So if you're Moshiri and it's your investment, do you trust this fella who's come from Holland to pick your next manager at a time when the club is struggling? It's one thing trusting him in June when you can come in, have a pre-season, get what you want, but in November...
one of my issues as well, though, it feels like the club just is rolling from one period to the next period, but without there being enough change maybe in the background. So there's plenty of change in the foreground. There's you know, whether it be a manager, whether it be a Brands. Right. But if those principles that, say, Marcel Brands is trying to install aren't being taken on board by people who are quite happy in their jobs behind the scenes, quite comfortable, whether it be in the academy or wherever in the club, and if there's enough of them that they can create resistance, then how does he do his job? Now again, we don't know. We know he's trying to change things. We know he's trying to change things in the academy. But if you still got people from the old regime who are more favourites for other people who are part of the old regime, the new regime's never going to get going. And this is one of my problems, is that the club is just treading water, because it can't go. It's going against itself. It's like, you know, the rowing, one person rowing one way and one person rowing the other way. It can't go anywhere because there's too many people reluctant to go forward, because it might mean them losing their job or their mate losing their job. We've got to have some forward momentum. It's got to come from the top, and it's got to say, this is where we're going, and this is how we're getting there. And we haven't had that from Moshiri, from anyone. We just haven't. All we know is that we're trying to move to a new stadium. That's all we know. And so far, that's gone quite well.
Well, how do we go about that? How do we communicate that? Is it literally through communication? I think John Blaine, who's often talks about a chief engagement officer, doesn't he? Someone to actually inform people and speak to people about what's going on and driving the club forward. And now I think more than ever we need something like that. Why do you think that hasn't happened? Because there's too many of the old guard that the club don't want it to happen. The new guard might want it to happen.
Yeah, but they don't. I don't know. But the problem is the old guard don't want things to change at Everton Football Club, as far as I can see. They don't want it to change. There's obviously reluctance.
But there also has to be a real hunger to want to change it from the new people. And I don't know whether there is that hunger, because
Because who's in charge?
Yeah, but it's not even just who's in charge.
But it has to be, though. It has to be. The person driving the bus has got to be the person taking you forward. It's got to be. This is what goes back to my initial point. There's too much. There's too many chiefs. There's got to be that one person who's the next person is his person, the next person is their person. I thought this is what was happening when we got the new board, but we've just gone back to the old. We've just gone back to the old way of doing things. We're not going forward. It's the most frustrating thing in the world because you've got all the money, you've got everything to take you there, but there's no one willing to take us forward. No one will. Like you just said before, the fans is a big thing. Being terrified of the fans, we say that all the time because it's so true. It's so true. Not willing to just stop and have a conversation with the fans about what's going on, or coming out and doing an interview about what's going on. It's always, no, we'll just stay quiet. Stay quiet, bury our heads, and it might all go away. Or wait till the next game. Later on in the week, we'll get a stupid rallying call and we'll get pictures of the players enjoying themselves at training. That's all. It's just repeat. Instead of someone at the top taking us forward. And that to me has to be, you bring in a CEO who's absolutely done it. Absolutely top of the tree. You go and get them and you put them in there. So that they run the club. Or
you get good people around the CEO.
No. That's nonsense. You get a CEO. No, Baz, what's the point in having a shit CEO who's surrounded by good people? Just get a good CEO. Get a good CEO. It makes perfect. There's no point in having a half-ass CEO. Get an absolutely shit-hot CEO. Go out and find a shit-hot CEO. There's loads of them about. And go, we'll give you the money that other people will pay because you will take us forward. We give the CEO job to someone who used to run a charity, a local charity. Come on, please. That is nonsense. Nothing ever moves forward with Everton. Do you know why? Because we always appoint from within, always. So it's the same people who've had the same practices for years. That's all what happens. We never go outside and get new ideas. We stick to the same nonsense all the time. So what happens? Same ideas, same outcomes. It's never going to change unless we start getting new people into those roles, the top roles, and then it comes downwards. It's just no point. It's nonsense. It's no point. Whoever's the top CEO, they rule the roost and everything else follows. I'm telling you, I used to be a boss CEO in my former life.
I was going to say, you sound like a CEO, yeah. Yeah.
It's got to, though. It's got to come from the top. Got to. It can't come from anywhere else. It got to come from the top. There has to be a line of communication and also just a structure in place. And I don't see that. Maybe it's there. I don't see it. Ever. And I'm not saying CEO has to be doing interviews every 5 minutes, because they don't. They do the job and they go out and get top brands. And when they go out and get top brands, there'll be sponsors. So some kind of uniform to it as well, not this scattergun approach of we got a meat company from over there and we got an energy drinks company that you've never heard of from over there, and it just feels like,
yeah. But are you looking at it because it's your club, whereas other clubs might be exactly the same?
I'm not asking. No, because this is always comes back again though. Oh, well, I don't care what other clubs do.
No, but that might just be how football is.
All right, there's the example right there. Team who's top of the league, European champions. They've got to be the example.
Okay, so what's the example?
The example is they went out, right?
But they were well done anyway.
They weren't. Ask any Liverpool fans about
Ayres. Moore's only been in for about 15 months.
No, he hasn't. He's been longer than that.
Well, 18 at the max.
Ian Ayres. You ask any Liverpool fan about Ian Ayres, right? Every time they went to try and buy a player,
I know.
They basically already bought until he turned up. And then it went south. Since they got this fella in charge, they've got connections everywhere. You got them on the front cover of...
I know.
I'm just telling you what you just asked me. They got the front cover of FIFA, and by getting the front cover of FIFA, then he went to Nike and went, right, we'll do this deal with you with Nike. Because guess what? Not only are you going to be at the European champions, that are probably going to be Premier League champions, but we'll get you more exposure by being on the front cover of FIFA and things like that. Because guess what? I used to work for FIFA, and I get them to put me on the front cover now. And all these things, it all works one after the other. We don't have those people
They
around.
were already, though, 5 steps up the rung of the ladder than
So
we
what
are.
then? So what? That doesn't mean you don't follow it. So if they were already 5 runs up and they thought the fella that was running them wasn't good enough, what does that say then?
No, I'm just saying to you, there's other things in place as well, isn't it? There's other things that they're a national, global, world brand.
I understand that. But if they decided how they were doing things wasn't good enough, then what does that say?
That's fair enough.
If they looked at it and went, we're doing brilliantly, but this is not good enough, what did
No,
they...
well, that's fair. That's a different argument. I'm not. That's fair enough.
It's the same argument.
That's fair
It's
enough.
the same argument though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
if things aren't going well, you've got to make a change, and it's not always with the manager. Marco Silva is almost a pawn in all this, because that's what all the attention's on Marco Silva. No one's looking elsewhere and going, and yeah, okay, someone might have looked at Brands and gone, well, what's Brands doing? What's Brands' boss doing? Who give Marco Silva the job? Stop allowing that person to make decisions. And I know who it is, by the way.
And what if Brands is involved in it?
Was Brands involved in it?
Well, apparently, yeah.
Was he though?
Well,
I don't know if he was.
Well, exactly. So,
No,
but
but
I can say he was, and you'll say what you could say. Well, I don't know if he is.
Because we don't know.
Exactly, and we don't know anything. We only know what we know.
But we know it was a poor appointment.
It was an appointment that they thought might work. It didn't work.
It was a poor appointment.
Well, they've all been poor appointments.
No, I know. But learn from it then.
Martinez was the worst.
Isn't that the point?
That was the worst appointment.
And Bill made that.
That
And
was
Michele got rid of him as fast as possible.
And then Koeman was a shocking appointment.
The point being, right, is all this has taught me, right, is you can have all the money in the world, right, but if you don't have someone controlling where it's going, or what's happening, or a system in place, someone to say, why are you buying 3 number 10s? Why are you justify to me why you're buying 3 number 10s, right? If you can do that, you can have the money. That comes from the top. That doesn't come from mid-management or Brands, or it might come from Brands now, but there's got to be someone up there. And I think that those people are getting away with murder, absolute murder at Everton Football Club, and it's about time someone pointed it out. Because we need, and this is the number one thing, we need to go and get, if we're looking at going and trying to get a boss manager, fine. We went out and got the boss director of football, best one out there and all that. Go and get the best CEO you can get. Because you know what? This one isn't good enough. Not good enough. No, they're not. They're not good enough. We've got someone who run a charity, running £1 billion industry company. Not good enough. Simple as that. So nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Start making some tough decisions instead of giving your mates jobs, because that's all it ever seems to be at Everton. That's all it ever seems to be. There you go. It's been a political broadcast on my behalf. Anything to add?
Nope. Nothing.
Don't agree?
I just think you're making lots of assumptions.
I'm not making lots of assumptions.
You are, because none of it's fact.
It is fact.
No,
it is. No, it is. It is fact. No, it's fact.
It isn't.
We're at Everton at the moment. How much money have we wasted?
Yeah, but you're making assumptions about what people do and don't do.
No, I'm not. I'm not making assumptions.
You are, because you don't.
Hang on. So, So, Marco Silva, right? If he gets sacked, why is he getting sacked?
Because he's underperformed.
Right. Is the club underperforming?
Yes.
The whole club?
Yes.
I rest my case. Thanks for watching. See you later.